है, कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, राउंड नहीं आ रहा है.
We will not check from this. We'll operate from here. Okay, I think it hasn't been lagged yet. So just go through some games from round 5 for 5-10 minutes. After that it will be like
Good morning, everybody. I welcome you to the live commentary of round 6 of the ongoing 49 National Chess Championship Senior Women and being held at Ahmedabad. So, I guess the round is yet to start. So, let's have a review of the last round. Srija Seshadri versus Divya Deshmukh. In the opening, Srija Seshadri got a decisive advantage but was unable to convert the advantage to take the initiative at right time. Now the standard move is a ND5, but she has a prepared line, played this, bishop takes and then A4, rook n2. Now white has got a structural superiority. The A6 pawn is weak, D6 pawn is weak, the D5 square, A5 square, all this thing giving quite a strong initiative, and the pawn structure is also superior for white. So this is a good move, putting pressure. One of the ideas is rook d1 or after nd2 rook double. Now at the moment, Srija Seshadri missed a simple clear advantage with knight a5. After knight a5, the bishop is no suitable square, and once the bishop falls, there will be no counterplay on the white king. Apart from that, the a6 d6 pawn will be very difficult to handle, and knight a5 rook queen into b2 is taboo, cannot play that because rook b1 is trapping queen. So knight a5 was giving a very strong plus for white, but she chose for this. This is less effective because black will anyway try to open up the give by giving the pawn. So counterplay. The threat is now rook into g5 and queen h3 leading to mate, but rook. Now if black plays rook g6, looks attractive, but knight c5 and knight e6 is there, so he played this bishop. The critical moment here was to pawn to e3. Now e3, after e3 pawn into pawn rook g6 is not easy for white, but Divya played bishop, and now I think it is too late now. This will fizzle out to be a equal now. Now the material factor is nothing because the c2 pawn will also fall soon or later. So they agreed to a draw after some few skirmishes. Let's go to the round 6 now. I hope it might have started. Divya Deshmukh versus Soumya Swaminathan, IM versus IM. So you can say here youth versus veteran. This theoretical line on knight d4, white can play knight c3, and after bg7 bishop c4 will be a small advantage for white. So stopping nd4 and preparing to capture the center. The point is that sudden d5 and bishop g4, so white is taking appropriate measure, and the game can continue like pawn to d6 now, idea pawn e5. Yeah, this is also okay. Now if you will try to win a material with the bishop into c6 and knight e5 is not desirable, because that will give some kind of initiative for double bishop and open center. So roundabout way we have turned out to be a Royal Lopez type of pawn structure. Now it is important that you must open the game. After c into d4, white will play c d4 and e d4. The game will open up, and black has got counterplay on the long diagonal. Now you have to open up the game because d6 is not good now. After d6, bishop into c6 and dc5 or de5 will be in favor of white. Okay, this must be all a theoretically prepared line, both played so quickly. Let's go to the next game. Bhakti Kulkarni versus Srija Seshadri. So it is a not katana exactly, it's an English opening, and the right move may be here bishop to d7 and on queen into c4, knight f6 and trying to castle quickly. No, that would be a b7 is a blunder. B7 is hanging, ng5 is coming. So what he should do now? I guess nc6 is correct now. nc6 is correct. After queen to c4, he should develop quickly and castle. Even d4 is also possible. So he took it, queen check. There was no hurry for the check. It was possible that white could have played here knight a3, because no way black can defend that pawn. Knight a3 and knight into c4, he will be more ambitious than moving the queen several times. Knight a3, knight f6, knight c4, castles d4, white is little better. So I think this is he should play here knight to c6 or nd7 also is possible, nc6, because nc6 you cannot play knight, and black will prepare to castle quickly. Is this Marian Gomes and Mahalakshmi? Mahalakshmi plays that London system not so dangerous, because in this kind of setup after d5 bd6 will come and you lose a tempo with bg3. Now d5 is a simple way to equalize. d5 e3, bishop to d6, bishop g3. Hardly any aggression is there by white. So this is a very quiet system. Of course the tournament is halfway through and the players are unwilling to take risk. So by round 8 or 9, it will be more clarified over the top contenders, and then the player will play sharply to get a position. So at the moment the heat is just begun, so they are trying to play safe cards and play some solid lines. However, white must take advantage and try to utilize his first move. So this is unambitious, I would say, because d5 and bd6 says there is nothing. Even you can play here c5, b6 and bb7, then d6 and d7. I think that is also a fully playable line. c5 is more aggressive. c5 and after that e3, b6, bb7. It should be good with the idea d6 and nd7. So let us see what Mary is choosing. Mary choose here c5. More to the point here is to play b6 and bb7. The knight is better placed, the queen knight is better placed as d7, because you are supporting the e5 point and c5 point as well and not blocking the bishop. So the setup chosen by black, it is going to a semi-terrace type of position. All this thing has happened in the game of one of the game black played so vastly, but that was a little different. Black had already played d5. Now bishop g5 f6. Now bishop g5 f6. Now bishop to h4. He has to no, first I think f6 has to play, and you have to meet g4. You have to meet g4. So if d5 was played, he could have played pawn into pawn and knight h5. Idea, one of the game of so vastly. I don't know who was the white player. nd2 or nc3 is better, or e5, third choice. Not taking risk, no advantage. So Matika Millik versus Padmini Raut. The semi-Slav defense, and this is should be slight better for white. All black has to do bb7 and c5, which white cannot stop. So this line is less ambitious, and here it was more prudent not to push making so many weak squares. Better to play a6 and bb7 and c5. For example, a6 and if white castles, then c5. It should be good. Yeah, semi-Slav, but now bb7 should be correct. bb7, it should be correct. Yeah, okay. प्रतिशा बोडा ब्लैक मुर्दुल ध्यान कर. So d6 and c3 castle, s3 is a classical Chigorin system, and white can opt for c3 and d4 Capablanca variation. So white is thinking whether to play c3 and d4 or direct d4. Yes. Arpita Mukherjee versus Tejaswini Sagar.
It's been 14 moves in just
Yeah, so they are just
20 minutes.
blizzing through in the opening stage. So white chose the Anderson variation. I mean, instead of the regular lines, white chose a close setup. This should be no harmful for black. I would say here it was better to play d6 and c3, knight f5 and c5 regular line, because white will lose a tempo anyway further. So d6 is more to the point, but anyway. Now rook e1 is pointless because you have to complete development. There is, if when the pawn is c3 d4, rook e1 is required. It is necessary, otherwise knight a5 and b3 will come.
Not going for action.
No, this is,
Taking the action
yeah.
and freeing the A1 rook.
I think the position white is better. It is the queen c8 is not very correct here. Not very correct because the e5 pawn is anyway in danger if you try to open up. So queen at c8 is not well placed, and the sacrifice on s3 to be vast, because if you take on e5, bishop s3 will come. At the moment bishop s3 sacrifice is bad because white can just take and play knight s2 and black has no plan. But now is preparing to open up the game, and you take the e5 pawn, the sacrifice may work. That is the point. So under the circumstances, white should just play maybe here, what can I recommend? Maybe queen e2, because second rank guard. Queen e2, after the sacrifice f3 is possible. So queen e2 is the correct answer. Yeah,
Other than that, yeah.
queen c. Now this stops d5. So what is the strategy of black? Playing so quickly, 15 moves in hardly 3 minutes. This is getting nowhere, I think. Now black has to regroup, and I don't see the rook at b8, queen at c8 is very poorly placed. One idea could be rook b5, but then he will be pushed back with bb5, right?
Yeah.
So rook b5 is not possible. Then what kind of counterplay will come?
For playing b5, knight has to move first to open the c pawn first.
So this idea of queen c8 is artificial. It is not as suitable for the position here. And they blitzed through about 15 moves in 4 minutes each.
It's been only 20 minutes since the round
Yeah.
started.
Dimi George versus
Both the players move. It is total 29.
the Sicilian Nasdor, Boleslavsky system. Yeah, necessary, because if you play nd7, a4 will come, so he comes here. Now I think he should play, having played f4, I think f5 is more
Is yes.
more correct. f5 is more correct. And bishop c4, he can take that as well.
But knight has to come back there.
Hmm.
Knight has to go to d2 and the black bishop will stop.
Okay. Let me have a quick review and come back to the top board later. Now, Varsini versus Manasa. Varsini is black here. So, a close Sicilian. No, I don't see why queen has to be at b6. Why queen has to, because there is no ng4 is coming. What is the point of queen to b6? Now if you play N6 H3 should be good, I think, or even you can ignore it. Who is this? Rebecca versus Saranya from Tamil Nadu. Everything is theoretically and should be leading to equality. I am looking for interesting game. This is Kiran Manisha Mahanti versus Yasika Raut, both girls from Orissa. Both from Orissa. White is playing less ambitiously and should be no problem. Now b6, bb7 and rook e8 and e5 will prepare. White is little better. The setup of black is not, because you cannot open the C file and the queen is not so well placed. So it was better if you have played queen to e7, rook e8 or e5 break. This Chitlange Sakhi versus Sarali Patnaik. More correct here is to play c5. That is why bf4 line, you need to hit c5. I can give a very old classic example at Immanuel Lasker black, and who is white? It is Pillsbury Nelson, right? Pillsbury Nelson white, that famous game. So bf4 c5 is the correct answer because there is no pressure on f6. On bishop g5, c5 is bad because bishop into f6 and cd. But now c5 is just equality. Idea queen a5. No much pressure. Who is this? Sarali Patnaik. Yes. The game has turned out to be a sort of, Tatakor variation where hanging pawn is coming after c5. Okay. I think it is not a good idea to do this. Not a good idea, I would say. Because ultimately, after you take pawn into pawn now necessary, pawn into e5 is necessary, then knight into e5, then exchange everything, and you can't stop that e4 break also. It is equal already. So this is a lackluster game. This whole variation, I don't understand why the players are playing so many. This bf4 system, I think I must have seen a dozen games already. Means you need to be little aggressive with white. This does not promise advantage. So this is already, I think, black is equalized. Because now if pawn into c5, knight into bishop is being attacked. Bishop is being attacked, and if you play pawn into knight into, a mass exchanges of 4 pieces will be out of the board very soon, and hardly any initiative for white. Kanishka versus Saina Salonika. From Delhi girl versus Orissa girl. Oh, this is having nothing because the king will have a good shelter at c7, so hardly anything is there. No, this position not correct. Not correct. You have to play f6 and after castle nd7 and bishop moves c7. This is a very simple way to play. After pawn f6, I remember I played one game with Varghese Kosi. I was white. After pawn f6, I did not castle check. The reason is after f6, if you play castle check, the bishop returns via f8 to b4. So rook d1 check is more prudent. After nd7, you come back bishop to c1 and c6. Then there is a problem with the black king, because one day or other rook c1 and d5 will come. That's the whole point. Now, instead of castle check, it is better to play rook d1 check, because black king will find shelter only at c7 by nd7 c6, but after white develops castles, white will play rook c1, giving trouble of threatening nd5. Okay, this cannot be good. I think because now, of course, knight to b5, you have got knight to a6. The problem with the move bishop to e3, now black can play knight to h6 with a tempo. Then you have to play h3, then knight f5. So it is the setup chosen by Kanisk is harmless for black. I think knight h6 would have easily equalized immediately. Who is this? Nisa Mohta versus Sneh Haldar, both from West Bengal. Karokan advance variation. Now the position, white has got some space, but he has to watch the c5 break. Not immediately, sooner or later. So some kind of space advantage for white. Let us say now Gujarat's only hope Vishwa Vasnawala. Now let us see what is the game. At least 3 games already in this round. We have 4. what to do? Okay. Now Sai Kotapalli. Yeah, this is just starting. Okay, let's see. Back to the top board now. Okay, let's return to the top mode games. So he's thinking move order, I think. What can you do? What can you do? Queen into b5 is an advantage to white. White has a lead in development and superior pawn structure. Black has several weaknesses. Apparently, now queen is running out of good square, because on queen b6, black can play a3 with the idea of some b4, knight a4, or even to that matter be3. Queen b6, a3, then be3 when white cannot take the b2 pawn. Or direct be3 also. Queen b6, bishop e3, and queen b2. No, it is the b5 square is available. So you can play on queen b6, a3, b4 plan. White's advantage is clear. Okay. I think feeling that white is better here. I don't know how black will react to h4, because h5 will permanently weaken g5 square. You can't do that with f6. Cover it. h4, knight f6 is not possible. This is better to have played h4, but mechanical castle, the black will wriggle out now. The critical moment here is to play h4. I want to pry open the h file as white, suppose. Bishop e6 is not a great move, because you have queen to b4, threatening b7 and h5 as well. But queen e7 could have come, right? Okay. h4, if you play bishop to e6, maybe queen a4. Okay, so the game continued castle. I think black has very comfortably equalized. White has got nothing out of the opening now. Okay, h6. Now, why do you allow knight g5 here? I think it is better to have a more prophylactic h6. Prophylactic h6 is good for black. I think white has snatched the initiative. Here, the h3 move becomes useful. If you look at the position, whether it is